Awesome.
And he was on fire. He really laid into and did diagramming about how, setting your internal temperature and how self-sabotaging is just that hidden thing. It's like, because I always think, what am I doing to self-sabotage myself? And he's like, no, it's literally your mechanism cooling your temperature. And then he went into like the steps to do to raise your temperature. And I was just like, oh, so I'm not doing it I'm like, what am I doing intentionally? And I wasn't self-coaching myself well enough to really get into it. I'm like, oh yeah, what would I tell somebody who was having a similar problem? Oh yeah, there's steps.
So Julianne, could you go on to that a little bit more and explain what you're saying? Because I know about the idea, the temperature that we set for ourselves, and we don't want to, we think our temperature is set properly. So our efforts are in line with where we think we can achieve. Am I right with this mindset?
This is identity.
Let's break this down a little bit, because it's actually in each aspect of your life. So like in our previous world, we talked about what we called the financial thermostat. Everybody has a financial thermostat. And I bet if you look at your historical let's just take the last 3 years of income. For most people, it's been rather flat. Might even be down a little bit because the economy is. And it's because we have an internal expectation, an internal feeling about our finances that's into our subconscious. And so here's how it shows up in the real estate space. I've got no money. I've got no pending. Oh my gosh, I'm actually going to do the work. And we get on the phones and we have the conversations and we crank up our business doing the actual work of real estate. And then we start getting pendings on the board and we can see the money's going to come in. And when it exceeds our financial thermostat, all of a sudden we subconsciously self-sabotage. You know what? Sitting at the inspection all day, doing nothing is more important than lead generating. I've actually, I got to do some research on the loan. I've got to talk to the title company. You start making all these excuses and doing other things than what at your core, you should be doing, filling the pipeline, and revenue goes up. Revenue starts coming down. All of a sudden you're starving again. You get back into the activity. Revenue goes up. It bypasses the financial thermostat. You self-sabotage just by not doing what you were supposed to do. And most real estate agents live this up and down life. So it's one of the reasons I installed the magic pending number into my coaching and my conversations. Because now we just focus on that. And if we hit that and just stay there, that's kind of a new thermostat, if you will, it will magically fix some of your other behavior. These same things occur in relationships. You start dating somebody and you have these, quote, high expectations. Yet you have your standards. And by the way, the standards are really where those thermostats show up. And so there's times you may look in your past where, man, you had a great relationship and you've done stupid stuff to undermine it and continually whining back in those relationships that aren't serving you. Same thing with your health. It's another great one, your weight. You'll work your butt off. You'll get on all these kind of crazy weight loss programs when you guys are overweight. You'll get down to looking lean and mean, and then magically you'll start changing your activities and working out less. You'll start changing what's coming in your mouth and eat a little differently, and the weight will magically creep back up to your, quote, weight thermostat. So these exist across the board. Now, one of the things that will absolutely help with this, and I love that you brought in this Ed Milet Live, Julianne, is chapter 13 that we're in today. Talking about one more multiplier. Really, it's about the relationship, the great relationships. And so I want to hear from you guys what you pulled out of chapter 13. I got sitting over here. There's some great examples as well as some nuggets that you guys should be looking. I'd love to hear from you today where maybe you'd like to add a multiplier in your life. What's the space that could use that? Because part of this, as we've learned in earlier conversations, speaking it into existence tends to make it happen at a higher level. So let me go back to my attendees. Look who's already got a mic hot. And Carrie, you are ready to go after Julianne. Thank you, Julianne, for your notes. Carrie, what do you got?
On page 167, I don't know how to pronounce it. Whatever, it's from the Bible. 4:12 tells us, and if one prevails against him, two shall withstand him. My lighting's terrible in here today. I don't know why I have shadows all over the place. Understanding team and individual weakness, and then showing up to work on these weaknesses daily are also critical. Commitment to long-term success is essential. Talent alone will not carry the day. That paragraph spoke very loudly to me. Just in the fact that it's, that's never just one. It's always, you're never just whole by yourself. That there's always things that, there's more to the puzzle than just you, and that you have to embrace that and, find others, as we always say, to lift you up, etc.
So Ecclesiastes 4:12 is what she is quoting from page 167. And I want to change the language slightly because it talks about if one prevails against him. So a combat between two people, if you have a second person withstand and three, you're unbeatable. Well, I want to tie it, instead of two people, it's you competing against the real estate environment.
Right.
I hear so many agents so many times talk about, I know what to do. I got to do it by myself. I have to be the one. There's all this selfish language. And we know for a fact, again, great old African proverb, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with others. Take your tribe. Again, it's why we play in this space every morning, because you have a tribe. And what I'm loving about what's happening here is you guys are connecting outside of this room and building other relationships. And what they are becoming is accountability relationships. So think about this. Stephen, I'm going to mute you for a sec, but I'll come back to you. Our 8 o'clock central group, we have a core of about 8 people that are meeting every day and sharing with each other what they're going to do during the day, how many conversations they're going to have. And it's turning into massive momentum. I'm watching people that have never had business momentum before, or even life momentum, change because they're in there with other people and accountability. They've had a health group spur off of that. We have a renegade health group on Facebook, and Coach has now joined it. You guys built it on your own. You found one more multiplier in each other, and now have this health happening that I've plugged in, and it's made me get healthier in just a short amount of time. So a multiplier absolutely going to be a person like this talks about. It also can be a group of individuals, which is what we're doing here. Stephen, you were up next. I saw your mic on.
I'm sorry, I was by accident.
You can still add something if you'd like from the content. Well, I guess I'll take that as a no.
I'll add something, Coach.
Thank you, Caesar, bailing me out.
So there's a couple things in this chapter that really resonated with myself, especially on page 168, two become one, but that one, in quotations, is the union that transcends the two people before they join the matrimony. I can speak this for, obviously, from my life with my wife, that both of us were in separate places. Obviously, us together has built something incredible. Now with with the dog, and then first was those three was bigger than the three, and now with my little child, my little one, it's transcended to this other level that I didn't even know was possible. So I wanted to, that really resonated as well. Another one on later on in the page is high level talent wants to work with and be challenged by other high level talent. That also is so, like, we don't realize that when we're, I think we're realizing it when we're interacting here, that these things resonate, and we love all the high level talent that's in this group. And then lastly, with the one multipliers, where it mentions, it was funny because while I was reading the chapter, I was thinking about MJ and the Bulls, and then later they mentioned that part, and it mentions Tom Brady, which is an amazing one. And one that's not in the book that I wanted to add was also like Messi, when he first joined this Miami club, all these other players started kind of joining. The popularity grew like just exponentially. He had a piece of the Apple, whatever, that's an MLS that grew incredibly just by, again, one player, and which he denied not going to maybe like another league where we're maybe paying him billions of dollars. So it's just a great example of the one multiplier that just exponentially blows things up. So all those resonated for this chapter was amazing.
Well, those people, and it's so interesting. Someone who truly has that, how can I serve and make others better? I mean, Brady, great example of someone who looks like they're all about them, yet he's really about all elevating everyone around him. And we've seen those other teams. There was a U.S. Olympic basketball team that was all self-centered, egotistical players that were all about themselves, and they wind up all pros losing the Olympics. I forget what year that was.
04.
There you go, 04. So talent's amazing, yet hard work trumps talent every time, and collaboration and hard work accelerate success every time. So that's what you guys, I implore you. The fun part with you is I know you're plugging in. What I really would love from all of you is to reach out to others in our world and get them to start getting them being a part of this world where they are a multiplier. So I saw Mike go hot for a second and I missed it. Ryan Van Orn, you're up, brother. And then Josie, you're next.
If we talk about this multiplier, be the one that finds the multipliers. Go out there and be the people that increase your circle. Like, I can't stand back and just think to my kids that I'm not the one for them to break the damn circle of what I grew up in. And I'm going to find the other people in my life that are going to make that change. When we came over and we got with Coach Russ, we maybe had 6 deals in the pipeline. My team of 8 agents has 42 by the end of the year. That's what this does. Find the people that make those multipliers happen. I have 15 in my pipeline since I came here, guys. It's not difficult. It's time on task over time. You got this. You just got to find the right people and don't give up and just keep pushing through it. Be that multiplier and find the other multipliers that bring with you. Man, that song is really sweet. Love it, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Ryan. And over and above finding those multipliers, lean into them. Make sure you're spending the time. Make sure you're asking for the help. Make sure you are continually plugging them in. And if they drift away, you own that. You keep reaching out. You keep talking. You keep building that relationship. Josie, I saw your mic come hot.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Just to add to what Caesar was saying, on page 172, It's by Tom Peters. Leaders don't create followers; they create more leaders. And I really see that with this group, with everybody that I've been contacted since I've been with EXP. Um, they don't want necessarily leaders, I mean followers. They really want you to step up and be a leader, and they're willing to help do that for you. And that's a great thing to be around you guys every morning.
Well, thank you, my dear, for that. And thank you for plugging in. It's a gift to be around you every morning. And I know you and Maria are really taking that Central Texas and continuing to pour into others and expand it, helping and serving your fellow agents. It's awesome to see. All right. Just checking notes. You'll see, man, the eyes. By the way, the eye surgery is going to be today. So hopefully that gets things better as well. And what do you got, my dear?
Yeah, so I just wanted to play off of what Julianne and Caesar both said, and all of this stuff that both of you were saying has me leaning back into a couple chapters ago and just the one more question. Like, what is the question that I haven't asked to this point? I came up with one the other day, and I was like, why don't I let myself win? And then I was like, why am I not competitive? Right? That's the story I've always told myself, is I'm not competitive. And being in here, I see that I don't have to be against the people in the room to be competitive. I can be competitive because I'm driven and because I'm a winner, and not because somebody else has to be a loser. And all of that is pulling together and right in line with the leaders make leaders, right? We're making more leaders here. So I thought this was, really, I don't know. It's really interesting the way the whole book for me just it's just all pulling together back and forth.
So, Anne, will you allow me to play with you a little in this space?
I will 100% play. Always.
Okay, because our subconscious doesn't know the difference between good, bad, successful, non-successful. It is a totally filterless tool. And when you ask it a question, it will provide you the answer. That's why questions are so powerful, because it turns your subconscious loose. So if you ask, why am I not X? Why am I not competitive? What is your brain going to bring up to you?
Oh,
all the things. By the way, why am I not sexy? Your brain's going to bring all the reasons why you don't look good.
Yeah.
And it's going to plug that in. Why am I? Whatever you ask after why is usually very disempowering. And especially, why am I not? Because your brain doesn't hear the not, it hears I am and all that other stuff that you put after it.
Yeah.
So we want to change that language. This one more question really should be one more powerful question.
Why am I a winner?
Well, let's get rid of why. And let's instead look to the future. And I'm going to give all of you actually a wonderful question framework that is incredible to turn your subconscious loose to make these things happen. And Anne's going to be the one that writes it down for us, though all of you may write it down. So, quick question. When you're talking about, in Anne's case, it was competitive. Has there ever been a moment in your entire life where you have been competitive? Okay, I see the head nodding and the grin showing up.
100%. 100%.
By the way, with any of you giving yourself a notch, I can ask that question about any time in your life you've been what you say you're not now because you picked up baggage. That's all it is. You're perfect, wonderful beings of light who picked up stories that aren't serving you. So the first thing I want you to do is acknowledge that there's been a time in your world where it's occurred and just bring that into your mind. And then here's the question. And I'm going to do it with a how. It can also be framed with a what. How can I be even more competitive than I've already been in the past? It presupposes right now that you're already competitive, which you and I both know you are, because it's literally in your DNA. If a child is not competitive about screaming, whining, pissing, and moaning to get fed, is it alive? Yeah, no. We're actually born to be competitive creatures, and we picked up this story that that's a bad thing. So how can I be even more competitive today than I already am?
Love it.
What can I do to be even more competitive today than I already am? Now it's going to turn your subconscious loose, looking for those things. Rather than looking at what's wrong, it goes looking for what's right. Does that make sense, Ann?
That makes so much sense. And I want to say this was like a download to me. It wasn't a thought I was trying to have. So I'm not making excuses, but it was so interesting because it did bring me around to the other side of it. And I love that we're talking about this here. I was like, oh, interesting thought. I have this thought. So.
Well, and the fun part about this is we can now apply it to everything.
Love it.
How many people have been healthier than you are right now? I notice Coach's hand is up as I have spent the last 6-9 months eating a little better than I should, having a little more fun. So I'm using this, and it's amazing. This combined with the accountability of others, and we're magically starting to do things. Man, Justin inspired me yesterday to start doing push-ups and sit-ups just at random times. Thank you for that, brother. So, Carrie, I see your mic is hot. What do you got, my dear?
So, while I agree with everything, I just want to say, like, in the past I always thought I never really thought about being competitive. I never wanted to be competitive, but I believe that it was because of the fact that I felt like that was mean or not nice, or why would you want to try to be better? Like, that's not nice. You know what I mean? That was a very old belief. And I still don't really feel the need to compete, but I would say in the last year or so, myself has wanted to compete. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's just turn that up. Let's just ratchet that another level.
And what have you done differently the last year that might connect to this higher energy of competing?
What have I done?
Yeah.
I,
You've
well,
been doing different. I have watched you do different things.
yeah, I definitely have. I would say that you guys have been pretty instrumental in that, at least this part of it. I don't know. I just keep thinking, I don't know. I guess maybe I've cut my ego a little bit. So therefore, okay, fine, I'll do something different. I'll do it different. And then I decided just to do everything different. Forget just one thing. Let's just go all out and do it all different. So
Awesome. And by the way, you brought two things simultaneously in that I want to make sure I acknowledge for you, because it's a celebratory moment. You set your ego aside and you're still, rather than all the yeah buts. I always hear people all the time when I'm coaching them, yeah, but, and then they go back to an ego of what they think they know better. And I have watched you shift to truly being learning based, which means you're setting your ego aside, which is awesome. And number two, you're plugging into multipliers. You're actually doing chapter 13 and plugging into folks that will be willing to multiply and work with you, and keep finding those, keep adding them. All right, Tom, I'm hitting you up, and then Dorothy, you're right after.
It occurs to me that the last two people that were talking are saying, oh, I'm not competitive, and then kind of acknowledge that they actually are. You don't need to compete with others. One of the things that I affirm every day is I compare myself to whom I was yesterday. And instead of trying to think that your win is somebody else's defeat, how are you doing 1% better than yesterday? How are you helping somebody in such a way that you and your client are winning? You don't have to defeat somebody else. Somebody doesn't have to lose. Somebody doesn't go to game hell or game jail or whatever. What are you doing to compete with yourself and compare yourself, as I say, to whom you were yesterday? And I think that becomes an easier way to look at competing. You know, I'm not going to outrun probably many people at all. But if I run better than I did yesterday, that's the win that we're looking for.
Absolutely. And by the way, it's this whole binary that we continue to put into our culture of two things not being able to be simultaneously the truth. I'll have to put a great video I pulled, and I haven't shared it with you guys yet, on the simultaneity of truths when looked at from two perspectives, because absolutely two totally different physics perceptions can still both be true at the same time. And so letting that go, like Tom was just saying, you winning doesn't require somebody else to lose. And you competing against yourself is a great way just to be constantly growing and winning and getting better. Dorothy, wrap us up so I can put a couple more things into the room to close out today.
That was pretty much the same thing I was going to say, that the competition is with yourself, the self that you want to take to a higher level. And if there are any excuses that come up from that self, you say, excuse me, girl, I know what you're doing. Don't run that on me. And there's no way out. So it gets to be an exciting game. And I love it. It's exhilarating. And I'm not competing with others. And it's not putting others down. It has nothing to do with it. It's, I want your best game and let's do it now. And then the other person, whatever it is, goes, oh no, not her again. Yep, her.
Absolutely. And let's stay on. So a couple of things I've been working on that I want to share with you guys. One, russcollio.com is up and running, and there is links there to my YouTube channel. And yesterday's video is up in its entirety. And those of you that spoke out have your own reels that have been done for you that is up there. So as you guys speak in here, you're going to have content that you can then share on your social media channels. And so you're going to see that accelerate now that I've got the systems and processes in place on that YouTube channel.